All right, we're going to be discussing the mechanics from a front view, and we're just going to concern ourselves with our path or the flow down the mound. So we already got these videos to the top of these guys' leg lifts. Obviously, every pitcher comes down the mound at different rates, different speeds. However, to make these guys flow together, I have changed up their speeds to fit. So what we're going to see is that we got Jerry Jones over here getting that front leg fully extended and really sitting into his delivery. We got Greinke, who's got his knee, which is going to be further back towards second base than his foot is. He's really taking this front knee and kind of curling it back so that his front hip stays closed. And Kirby is going like Jones here with his front leg, but he's keeping it in a more bent position rather than kicking it straight out like Jones. But what we do notice is no matter how these guys load into their back hips, getting down into their legs, engaging their lower halves, what do we notice? We notice where the glove is going. And that's to help them be able to see over their front shoulder. They want to be looking down the barrel of their shoulder, because the longer we can be looking here over this shoulder as we proceed down the mound. Obviously, we've gotten back to center, but look, we're still looking right over that shoulder. Still looking right over that shoulder. Still looking right over that front shoulder. The longer we can do that into our moment of foot strike, bam, bam, we can see front shoulder, and our head is still trying to fight to keep that front, or rather our front shoulder is still fighting to stay above our chin. The front shoulder is still fighting to stay in above the chin. The front shoulder is still fighting to stay in above the chin. And when we do that, we can see that the back hip now has been able to come through, exposing the belt buckle to the batter, to our catcher, but preventing, because that front shoulder's fought to stay in so that we continue to look over it. Look what that's done with our chest. It's kept it squared up, squared up, squared up, as that lower half has been able to fire, and there lies our upper lower half separation that we're trying to achieve. And now here comes the most important part. Getting into this position is key for both our power production, our ability to throw the baseball with our body, thus reducing the amount of stress that's going on through our arm during that delivery, and helping ensure, this wasn't the straightest line here, helping ensure our energy continues to flow to the catcher. All right, we can see that head staying there, that head staying there. Kirby's fighting to keep it in there. And you can see he's fighting to keep it in there because it did not go more out there. So we're rotating that back shoulder. We're rotating that back shoulder forward. forward, forward, forward. So that way all of our power can be flung through those fingers, out through that ball, forward. If we watch that again without any interruption, into foot strike, out of foot strike. Everything staying in line with our target. And then noticing as they're getting into release, where are those chin and chests going? To the target. To the target. The angle of our trunk, this mass from our shoulders through our waist, our trunk right now is upright. It's above our hips. In relation to the ground, it's in a 90-degree angle. As we get into release, those trunks in relation to the ground are no longer up here trying to throw the baseball. Instead, in relation to the ground, these trunks of these elite throwers of the baseball, both in terms of command, the best to ever do it, in terms of longevity and success, one of the best to do it, and an upcomer with elite velocity and potential to be an all-star. Every one of their trunks at release went from being up here at foot strike to out here at release, bringing that energy down the mound, but most importantly, towards our target. And that's something that we're able to see even easier and more clearly in the side view videos. All right, so if we kind of take this back once more and we see these arm slots, we'd say, boom. Oops, let me draw a better line than that. Right, we're at a high three-quarter, three-quarter. We are in a same thing, three-quarter, high three-quarter. Same thing here, right? So these are some of your most common arm slots are the three-quarter to high three-quarter arm slot. And then what we'll look at next here are some guys that are in that lower three-quarter tier. So we'll let, we got Luis Hill, Kyle Harrison, and Carl Crawford. All right, so the same thing, moment of that foot strike, we can see that they're still fighting to keep that front shoulder in, keep that front shoulder in, fighting to keep that front shoulder in, and then coming to release and through, we can see how those heads are fighting to stay in. Luis Hill a little bit outside, but we can see through release, bam, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there. Now it's out, which is no big deal. It's already stable for long enough post-release, bam, that he could do a cartwheel over here if he wanted to after. So fighting to keep that front shoulder in, And by doing that, the shoulders have stayed squared up, and with a good lower half timing and pattern sequencing, we got the back hip to have come forward, the back hip to have come forward, exposing that belt buckle to the batter, creating that upper and lower half separation that we're trying to seek in order to achieve higher velocities and minimize the stress that's put on our arm during these high intense and continuous throws. If we then take these guys into their moment of release, we got that same concept that we did earlier, and we can see here's our low 3/4, even getting closer, some would say, to even true sidearm. We have that low 3/4, and we got that 3/4 to low 3/4. But what we can notice is all the same with those different arm slots, but the most common arm slots in our game. All these guys are fitting the same bill in their own unique ways, but these important key points are all very much getting checked off by each, no matter what. All right, so what we're going to do now is you have the opportunity to watch yourself pitch from both the front and the side view synced up. This particular video is only going to cover things from the front view, but I wanted you guys to be able to have the opportunity to see what you look like from both sides. But today's video is only going to be concerning ourselves with the front view. So you can go ahead and click on your specific chapter that's going to have your video. It's going to play 2 times. The first time will be all one motion, and then the second time it'll pause at that moment of foot strike, so you can take a look and see the differences between your body's positioning and the big leaguer's positioning that you just learned about, and then be able to diagnose maybe why you don't throw as many strikes as you would like, or why your arm hurts when you throw, or why you don't throw as hard as maybe you want to. And then what we'll have at the end is some group comparisons of your front views that diagnose and get into detail on some of your mechanical flaws. And then we'll use additional big league video to help us better visualize the differences of that particular aspect of the delivery. All right, in this group here, we got our 4 guys up that we're going to be talking about your glove finish. What we've seen in the big league videos of how that front shoulder needs to be staying in until our front foot hits the ground. And the only way that can occur is if that glove is not getting outside of our body. You 4 guys, after you've seen your individual videos, have noticed that your gloves are getting out. So here is what that looks like. All right, so I've paused this at the moment of foot strike when that front foot hits the ground for all of you guys. So we take it back again and you got your eyes on yourself. You'll notice once that foot gets into the ground, it's paused, right? So now we can see 3 out of the 4, our front shoulder is already open, already opened, already opened. We are opening, but we haven't opened, but we're going in that direction, okay? And what happens when this glove gets way outside of our body is that the front shoulder starts getting away from our chin. And once the front shoulder gets a certain point away from our chin, it's going to start pulling that back shoulder forward. And we can see how the throwing arm's already coming through, throwing arm's already coming through, throwing arm's already coming through. Your throwing arm, bud, is already laid back into external rotation. So it's even further along than these guys. It's just in a more awkward position to see from this front view. So because your guys' gloves have gotten outside of your bodies so quickly, it has taken your front shoulders out. And because your front shoulders have gone out, your back shoulders have begun to come forward early. And because your back shoulders are beginning to come through early, we're now going to be left with less power, a lot more stress on the arm to throw the ball, and our window to be on time at release in the direction of a strike is going to be very small in comparison to those that are able to keep this glove in longer, which helps keep this front shoulder underneath that chin for longer, which keeps that back arm back longer, so that at the moment of foot strike that the arm is more loaded behind the head in this area somewhere. And what we're going to notice is as we take you guys into release and through release, how we're not able to get out in front as easily as we would want with power down the mound. We're stuck with a lot of the arms getting flung out and around a little bit and really trying to reach with this high chin. Because we're trying to reach it out there, but it's hard for the hand to get out in front because it wants to go this way, because the shoulders were angled in this way to throw before we started to throw. And we don't throw until that foot gets down. But for you guys, you're starting that throw before that foot gets down because that glove gets too far outside your body, which takes the shoulder outside your body. So to better help you see that, in addition to what we've already seen, got a guy you probably all know, and we'll pause him at foot strike, and what do we see? Where's that glove? Oops. Where's that? Right here. Where's that shoulder? Right here. Where's that chin? Right here. Where's that arm? Back here. So we got to finish our glove with every single throw we make. We got to get it out, and then it swivels to our rib cage, armpit, chest area. It swivels, and then we rotate to it. We rotate to it. Can you see the ripples in his jersey when the glove gets into it? We rotate into the glove, and then the glove stays there. All right, so after watching the big league videos from the front view there and getting to see and hear that discussion, you 6 guys have a front leg that needs better rotation or needs to be just firmed up when it gets into the ground. So what we're going to notice here as we play this video is your front legs get into a position that when your upper body goes to throw, you're not able to stabilize yourself. So what we're going to notice here is we'll go hip, knee, foot, boom, 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 with all of you, okay? And what we're going to kind of notice is a theme of a slight or aggressive angle of that front leg, okay? Now, some of us will need to work on getting that rotation of that front knee, right? Because our knees right now for our righties are facing third base, and for our lefties, that knee is facing first base. And eventually, when the foot gets down to the ground, my lefties over here, we got our kneecaps going like towards on deck of the first base dugout for these 2 guys. And then over here, we kind of got it going towards like a lefty batter and that on deck guy, so we're in that range. Over here, we got going into third base on deck circle. We got somewhere between right-handed batter and on deck circle, and same thing, somewhere between right-handed batter and on deck circle. Okay. Now, some of us may have to get that kneecap to be rotated more towards the catcher. All of us may need to get it more towards the catcher, because what we're going to notice as we go to throw here and we come out of this is that notice how our knees, for us lefties, our kneecaps are going this away, and you righties, kneecaps are going that away. Some of us more than others. But by the time we get to release, we can see that those positionings are a lot more here. So we need to understand that if I'm trying to rotate my upper body, let me get a clean set here. If I'm trying to rotate my upper body this way for lefties, this way for righties, right? But my leg is also going in that same type of, for lefties, left to right upper body rotation. And if my knee goes to the right, that's my whole body going this way. In order to throw something or whip something, I need to be going against something. And I need to be going against this leg, right? So when it's in this position here, I need to keep it in this position here and straighten my leg out. Get rid of the bend. Because if I get rid of the bend, it's going to be tough for my knee to want to go that way. It's going to be tough for my knee to want to go that way. And now I am able to rotate. I'm able to rotate over a firm front side. Just like when you hit, you want to be swinging over that firm front leg. So to help you better see that, we'll use a guy you all know or should know, right? And we'll pause him at foot strike. Boom. Okay. So we can see there's that angle, right? Not nearly as much as some of us, but close to some of us others, right? So if we came over, we could say no, close, yeah, there. And then obviously you guys are lefty, so it doesn't work as well. But let's watch as he now rotates through. That kneecap's not going anywhere. The only thing that's happening is that leg is straightening out. There's no wobble in that knee occurring. And because of that, he's now able to rotate this upper body over a firm front side. So we need to work on firming this front leg up, whether it's locking that knee out so it's not bent, or preventing the knee from wobbling out by keeping it in, throwing into ourselves instead of getting everything to go outside, and then we can go into ourselves, into ourselves, into ourselves. So let's not waste this opportunity of creating power with the rotation with it already being into ourselves, into ourselves, into ourselves.